Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Often Wrong. For this episode, we're talking about gay stuff because, as kind of a replacement for the gay agenda, I think it's time we talk about our gay grievances. So let's get on the floor. Let's get into it. Hey, listeners. Thank you so much for joining us again for this episode of Often Wrong. If you are enjoying how this season is rolling out, you can engage further by liking, subscribing, leaving a comment on wherever you listen to your podcast or on our website at carrotimpact.com/oftenwrong. From all of us at Often Wrong, thank you so much, and let's get back into the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Often Wrong.
Do it again.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Welcome back to Often Wrong. I'm Claire Cornetta, and I'm a bisexual.
And I'm Lisa Nwankwo, and I'm gay. Oh my God. I can't believe we told them that.
I know. It's crazy. Today, we've got a lot to say about that, to be honest.
Yeah, we definitely do, especially because now that the government and Google Calendars does not observe Pride Month in June, I figure why not just celebrate it all the time, anytime, because this is our podcast and we can celebrate any holiday when we want to. So,
Yep.
Today's
I
Pride.
agree. Today's Pride. Happy Pride.
Happy
We're
Pride.
doing a gay episode.
Yeah.
And, we used to get in a lot of trouble for the gay agenda, which
Sure did.
was crazy because the agenda was literally just to be respected and loved. But now I think the gay agenda is actually just a list of grievances. And, we don't really care whether the world loves us or not. It's
No.
less of a plea of humanity and more of a go fuck yourself kind
Yeah,
of
for real.
thing. I'm always a fan of the gay agenda. I keep a running list. But the gay grievances, I'm ready for.
Yeah, me too. I keep a running list of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was definitely a time when I was a kid where I really wanted to be straight and like quote unquote normal. But now in this economy, it sounds like a nightmare. I don't want to do that.
It's terrible.
Sounds
well,
awful.
and yeah, I thought I was straight for a long time. We'll get into that. But yeah, I wouldn't go back. Not for the world. So,
Well, I think today we're going to talk about what we think about the new gay agenda, which is a list of gay grievances. There's a lot to get into. So Claire and I typically usually record this podcast while sitting on the floor, which is the assumed gay position. So if we're ready and in our positions, then
yes,
I think we can get moving.
I'm ready and in position.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Me too. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the gay multiverse, U.S. policies that affect us, recent gay history, some of it's fun, some of it's not, our personal gay grievances, and then what we think people get wrong about the queer community. Which, spoiler alert, it's basically everything. So
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
What's on your list, Lisa? Of gay
Oh,
grievances?
that's such a good question. Just to be brief, I will only pick a couple right now. My gay grievances right now, off the top of my head, there's just a couple of them, is lesbian bars, transphobia as a whole, and also the phrase love is love. Got to get rid of that. But we'll talk about it.
Those are good. Mine are less real and more like my own problems,
Yeah.
less about larger
Fair enough.
societal problems. Like, for instance, my sitting positions are giving me back problems.
That's huge.
I think that is, again, it feels homophobic. It feels biphobic.
Definitely.
It feels not me. It feels ageist, which is not true, but it is. I keep leaving rings at people's houses and various...
Whose house?
No one's. None of anyone's business. But I do keep leaving jewelry places, and it's a problem. Which, again, this is the way I was born.
Yeah.
I literally have no control over this. So this is, I have a biological need to wear a lot of jewelry, and
I just thought of something really funny to me, which is the lesbian queer woman version of Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under by Shania Twain is whose bedside table are all of your rings on top of?
That
Someone needs
needs
to
to be
make
an
that.
immediate follow-up.
That's
If
good.
I could sing, I mean, it'd be over for everyone. But
Yeah.
like, holy
Classic.
shit,
Club
that's
classic.
that's it. That's the one.
Hmm.
Instant classic. Whose bedside table are your rings on? Um,
Very good.
so those are my current grievances. And yeah, I'll add transphobia and just the kind of funny landscape we're in that is we're such a small percent of the population, and we'll talk about that. But oh my God, so much of the media, which,
We live rent free in their minds.
yeah, it feels, it feels validating, but in a really bad way.
Yeah, it's almost
Like we
flattering.
think we're a big
Almost.
deal, but
Yeah.
like, please stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, keep our names out your mouth. Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like I have to do this just because in my dating experience, this always comes up on every single queer date. How did you
Hmm.
come out and when?
Oh, let's see. Without getting too much into all the topics we're going to discuss, I was a sure case of compensatory heterosexuality.
I knew you'd say it.
So I did not come out until I was 22, I think.
I was
And
22 too.
oh, that's cute. Um, and I came out as bisexual, and I it was really my okay, this is my honestly favorite little story about realizing I was queer. My cousin had come out to me like 4 years prior, a few years prior, and she was describing being attracted to women and going through that whole process. And I was like, me too, girl. Like, and I'm also straight, but super attracted to women. Like, great. And she called me and was like, hey, I finally came out to my dad. And I was like, Megan, you came out? What? Like, that's so crazy. Like, you didn't tell. And she was like, Claire, you were one of the first people I told. And in that moment, I knew immediately what she was talking about. And I was like, oh no, I thought we were agreeing that we were gay, but also straight. So I need to have a little think about this. And within a month, I was like, yeah, I'm bisexual. And I
Aw,
just genuinely thought everyone was attracted to women um,
checks out
because
for me.
women are amazing in my experience. So that was pretty funny. And yeah, that's the main part of my story, I would say. How about you?
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I came out when I was 22. It was really funny because in college, all of my friends were gay and they would all come out to me first, similarly. And they'd be like, well, don't tell them, but I'm gay. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So you guys should all really talk because you're all secretly coming out to me. And then once all that was taken care of, I think like a year later, I had just had a head injury. I fell off a balcony and, had a brain injury.
That's such a
But
crazy
then after
story.
that, I was in recovery on bed rest and I was just on Tumblr looking at pictures of lesbian couples embracing. And I was like, well, I want to do that. And I'm like, well, now's a good time because I almost died. My family can't be mad at me. So I seized the day and I was like, hey, mom, so you know how you told everyone when I was a kid that I was gay? And she was like, I never said that. And I was like, yes, you did. But you were right. And she was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, no, it's definitely true. You were right. Congratulations. Also, I'm not going to tell anyone else. So please feel free to tell everyone else. I don't want to do
Mhm.
it. And then
Yeah.
she told my dad, and he was like, didn't we already know that? And that was it.
Didn't that
And it was
already
really
happen?
easy. Yeah, because
That's
when I was
so
growing up, when we would
funny.
play the little life board game, I used to put two pink people in the car because I wanted a wife. And
Yeah.
I
It's
feel
pretty
that
gay
was
of you.
pretty telling. But
Yeah. You know, I love that. I was actually bullied for being a lesbian when I was in middle school, and it's a little upsetting to have your bully know you're gay
I
before
know
you
that's
do.
messed up when they're right. Oh my
It's
God.
honestly fucked, and I thought back to that after I came out, and I was like, "Fuck, he knew." He knew.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think it's fun to look back and be like, oh wow, we had so many things that were like, this kid's queer. Like
Yeah,
this kid,
for
the
sure.
little pink little dolls, that's cute. Shigo from Kim Possible
Oh, yeah. That's
was
a good one.
that girl.
Badass.
And this is specific. I hope my people know what I'm talking about. Princess Jasmine in the red slave girl outfit when she is being
Literally.
captured by Jafar in the hourglass. It's the red. She looks so
I
good
just
in
was
red.
talking about that this weekend. People were talking about how she's the prettiest princess, and I was like, no, but when she wore the red,
Hands down, like
changed my life.
would fuck. Hands down. Just for the record, Princess Jasmine, if you're listening, hit me up.
Well, do you want to hear how many others there are besides us?
I do.
Because I
I
did
would love
some
to.
queer research, as I
Ooh,
do, as a
gay
queer scholar.
research. Yes.
So, how many queers are there? Well, in the world in 2021, Ipsos, which is a market research company from Paris, interviewed people in 27 countries spanning all continents on their sexual orientation and gender identity.
Mm.
So some of these were weighted for representation, but in this survey, about 80% of the people in the world identify as heterosexual. So 3% are gay or lesbian, 4% bisexual, 1% pansexual, 1% asexual, 1% is other, and 11% don't know or won't say, which sounds
That's
queer to
sus.
me.
That sounds pretty gay to me. Like,
Yeah.
just saying. Yeah.
But then in the US, the Williams Institute at UCLA School of Law, there's like a sexual orientation law think tank. They put out a study in April 2011, which is a very long time ago, and I'm sure it's much more now. But they said that based on their research, 1.7% of American adults identify as gay or lesbian, and another 1.8% identify as bisexual. And this analysis suggested that at the time in 2011, there were more than 8 million adults in the US who were lesbian, gay, bisexual, which comprised 3.5% of the adult population. Which, if you listen to last week's episode about revolutions and the magic number needed to make a revolution stick, the magic number is 3.5%. And we have, at the bare minimum, 3.5%. So just FYI, we have gay quorum for the gay revolution
It's extremely exciting.
to all who celebrate.
Yes. Yes. That's extremely exciting. We have quorum. And I also would say you and I have pretty queer circles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people who are all up in arms about queerness in whatever form, gender, sexuality, etc., I look inward.
Yeah. Real.
It's because if like, you know, the straightest people I know are the ones who are the least threatened by anything. Like
For real.
my grandfather, after marriage equality was passed in 2015, and I became an ordained minister the next day because I was so excited. Also not out at the time, but a phenomenal ally. I was such a good ally. I was like, this is a community I care about.
Yeah.
And I'm a part of, but not really. But my grandpa was like, literally, why are people upset? Like, it does not affect my marriage. I've been married to your grandmother for 60 years. Why would I give a fuck? Like,
My
that
grandfather was the
somebody,
same.
like, it's
My
so
grandparents
stupid.
did not
Why
care
are
at
people
all.
upset about this? And I was like, thank you. They shouldn't be. It's so odd. And yeah, it's like, it's nice to see the grandpas being like,
For
yeah,
real.
who
Because
gives a
I
shit?
had like other people who were like, what? No. But then in my gay friend group in college, there was one girl who was straight. And everyone kept being like, oh, well, you're in the group. You must be gay too. And she was like, believe me, guys, if I was gay, I would be.
Yeah.
Nothing would thrill me more.
Yeah. Oh,
Unfortunately, I'm left out.
this
And then
episode
everyone
go.
else,
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah, go
like,
ahead.
tale as old as time that you are angry. I wonder what that means.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Or threatened
Actually,
by people questioning what their baseline is.
right.
Like, if that threatens you,
It's weird.
it's weird. And I just want to say quickly, this episode goes out to all the straight girls. I'm so sorry. And
No, someone had to do it. Thank you.
our hearts go out to you. We love you. We're here for you. Are you
For sure.
okay? My two best
No.
friends are straight, allegedly, and
Mm.
I keep trying to just. I keep saying I'm going to start a conversion therapy camp for the straights so that they can get on
I
the right
will
side of
hold them in the
history.
light.
Yeah, I just hold them in the light. That's what I want to do with them, and
Mhm.
I want there to be less dependency on men generally.
Certainly.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that men do that affect us, being gay is illegal, which is crazy. Not illegal everywhere, but illegal in quite a few places, which
It's
blows my mind every time I think about it. I actually can't wrap my head around it.
I know, and for as bad as like all the legislation that we're seeing in the US and
Hmm.
like how crazy it is right now, it is like the United States is a relatively safe place to be queer. And
That's
from,
frightening.
I know, and it's like compared to a lot of places in the world, and I'm speaking sexuality queer.
Yeah.
Like the violence rates towards trans folks I actually don't know what the country breakdown looks like, but it's significant in the United States. But like,
I don't even know that people can't do data fast enough to capture
no.
what's
And
happening
it's a
right now.
tiny
So,
community,
yeah.
like tiny, tiny. I think the last statistics I saw about that, it was like um, trans women, trans women of color, and Muslim women wearing a hijab
Mm.
were at the top of like the most likely to face violence
Oh
list.
my God.
And the anti Islamic violence is directly dependent on the state of global affairs. And like,
Hmm.
post 9/11, the spike was crazy. But
Oh,
um, those are like the most dangerous ways to be a woman.
that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
As if
It's really
it's,
crazy.
not already baseline dangerous.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
But
What's
I
the number
found,
one cause of death during pregnancy?
what is it?
Murder.
Doctors?
No, it's murder, domestic violence.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. That's
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so scary.
Yeah. Isn't that fucked?
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll get
So,
back to better things soon. But I saw, so from context.news, there was progress last year in marriage equality in Greece and Thailand, decriminalization of gay sex in Namibia and Dominica, and self identification laws in Germany and Ecuador, which eased the process of changing legal gender. So that was good news. But then we have all the setbacks that are happening in the US, but also in Ghana, Mali, Georgia, and
mm,
Bulgaria.
mm-hmm.
Queer and trans people have existed since the beginning of time and will continue to
Yep.
do so,
Mm-hmm.
but the
Yep.
context fluctuates. Doesn't
Yep.
mean we go away when the law
Yep.
happens.
Yep. Yep. I would say, this is one of those things that just to your last point about queerness being always there.
Hmm.
Um, it's been everywhere
Yeah.
and always, and it's our bias that has prevented us from seeing it.
Yeah.
In many cases, there's a great little series on Peacock um, called Queer Planet, which was a wonderful little watch if you haven't seen it.
No,
And it's about the gay animals of the world and like how queerness
I
is
love that.
actually baked in and extremely important to like population maintenance and like survival and adoption, and it's wonderful. Highly
They
recommend.
have an important job. Us as queer people have a very important job, including the animals. But let's speed run through some more things.
Mm,
Because in the US, more than 570 bills targeting LGBTQ plus people were tracked by human rights groups. So
mhm.
every state in the US has one anti LGBTQ bill attempting to be passed, except Texas, which surprised me, California, Colorado, Nevada, New York, Montana, North Dakota, and Connecticut. So the good news is a lot of these were defeated, but the bad news is that some of them were not defeated.
Mm,
Um, yeah, the bad news is actually that they were ever introduced. Idaho has a lot of these bills, so Idaho feels like bad news to me now after looking at this chart. So, and then the final thing for context that I wanted to bring up, let's talk about some of the gay policies that are being introduced right now in the US specifically. Again, our sample size.
Do you want to chat about gay marriage?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, gay marriage is one thing where they're federally, talking about removing it, which is so crazy. As a person who just got gay married,
Yes.
that was really weird because I remember that was in the news like the week before I got married last month. And yeah, it just felt really weird because there was a moment when gay marriage was legalized when I was like, oh my God, so amazing. I was single as hell. So I was like, I can be married, but I was single. So I really couldn't be married. And then now I'm like, finally, I have someone who's going to marry me and you want to get rid of it? That's not fair.
No,
It's not nice at all.
it's crazy. Also, like I think economically, it would be a really stupid decision.
I totally
Like
agree.
the marriage industry, and also like we can discuss this is for another episode, but like why the marriage industrial complex still exists and is so
Exactly.
um
Well, that's why I feel a little bit torn on it
forceful.
because it
Yeah.
was just like, it's like on the one hand, we should have all the rights, but on the other hand, it's like, well, marriage is like a super patriarchal
Yeah.
industry.
Well,
So,
and this is the dichotomy that we live with, like the burn it down versus, work within the system thing. And the
yeah,
reality is that there are a lot of privileges that come with being married that
definitely.
weren't going to go away. Like, sure, we could have done it. We could have just extended the privileges for civil unions, but I understand it still wouldn't have been equal because it wouldn't have been the same, but
Yeah.
we're not talking about equality. We're talking about the sameness of it.
Hmm.
But like, you talk about like adoption, hospital visits,
Yeah.
um, specifically like, yeah, emergency contact stuff, but will and test, like leaving
Yeah.
things to people, the tax implications of that. It helps to be married. And it's
Definitely.
also like a huge economic privilege in many states to be married and get a big tax break. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of advantages in our society, which again, they keep it that way so that more people get married. So I don't really understand why they would deter people from getting married. I think they want a lot of
I
people
think
to
it's
get
just like
married.
the cruelty is the point. I really think that
Hmm.
that's it. Because it's just silly. It doesn't really make sense. Why
Well,
would you care?
they want to control women.
It's like
I'll
I
just say.
personally don't think that two blonde people should get married, but I'm not going to ask for a law to be passed.
Oh my God, I agree so much.
Right? Like that's weird. You shouldn't do that. But teach their own, Love is
Oh,
love.
true.
Actually, I
Love
hate
is
love is love. I'm sorry. It just fit in that
love is
moment.
love. If you're blonde, be blonde. I'm
Yeah,
happy for
okay.
you. Um, I'm
But
happy for
okay,
you, but I agree.
another thing that has come up with this is that I'm noticing this happened last time too, when they were talking about getting rid of gay marriage before, and a lot of people that I knew were like, "We have to get married. We're gonna get married at the courthouse before this happens," as like a protest or to protect ourselves. But I've been reading a lot about this. I know a lot of people who worked for marriage equality in the first place. Yeah, there's just a lot of information about this, and maybe this will change. But as of right now, from what I know, getting married before they do a federal reversal of gay marriage doesn't protect you at all. They will all
Mm,
go away unless you live in, say, California. California is
mm,
not going to reverse it as a state law, so it will still
yeah.
be legal in California. But
Hmm.
if you live in Alabama, no gay marriage is still on the books. So if you live in Alabama, it
Yeah.
goes away. And the only way I think out of that would be if they criminalized gay marriage federally, then
Yeah.
the state wouldn't matter. The state laws wouldn't matter,
Yeah.
wouldn't protect you. So I just think that's something to consider because it's like, yeah, maybe if there's something you want to do for
Yeah.
posterity or just, I don't know, but I just want people to know that that's not like, don't rush into marrying your girlfriend right now because
Yeah.
you think it will protect you because it is not going to.
Yeah.
It might
Definitely.
actually be more dangerous for you, to be honest. So,
Yeah. And consider your state.
yeah, absolutely.
States' rights? Question mark.
Okay, let's
I
talk about the other one, which is so stupid. trans
trans
people in
people in
sports.
sports.
So ridiculous.
This is the craziest thing ever, and I have like such strong feelings about this, as I think we all do, because, well, I'll let you speak first, and then I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay, so my main thing about this has come up in so many conversations. People that I know have never considered trans people ever in their lives. Just now we're just like, well, what do you think about that? Because, it's not right. It's not fair to the girls who want to play. And I'm just like, since when do you guys care about women's sports? First of all.
Mm-hmm.
So don't
Mm-hmm.
even try. Second, since when do you care about women, period? You're not fooling me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like those two things aside, it's also silly. And it's just like, I mean, it's not silly, it's violent and it's dangerous and very scary and will have implications for everyone, trans or cisgender.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just like, it's just manufactured. It has been
Yep.
given to people as a problem, but we have other problems. This is not one of them. If someone wants to play on the softball team at your daughter's high school, everyone's going to be okay. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, just everyone's going to be okay. This isn't a real thing.
No, it's crazy. And oh God, there's so much I want to say about this. I think, first of all, I can't remember where I heard this, but this commentator I was listening to was like, LOL, the people talking about this issue don't even work out. And it's like, yeah, let's like, if it's an issue, let the athletes lead on it.
So real. That's a good
Also,
point.
no one is saying that someone who has the testosterone levels of a man, like of a grown full man, should be able to compete in women's league. Like that, no one's saying that. No one's saying that like implement hormone testing. Sure. Like,
But even that, you can't do that
you
because
can't,
some women
because
have more
everyone's
testosterone
different.
than other ones.
It's so crazy because so many athletes, so many female athletes are getting like slurs thrown at them, and they're like, I'm a cis woman. Like, I'm not trans,
Well,
but
remember
I
that
guess I
woman
look
from
masculine to
the
you.
Olympics, the
The
boxer,
the boxer. Yep, yep, yep.
Mani Khalif? Or I
Yeah,
think
that's exactly who I was
but
referencing, but I have no sports knowledge, so I don't
yeah, but
remember
it was
her.
the same thing.
But
And
like,
that's what I mean. It's going to come for everyone because once it starts being like, well,
yes.
you look a little manly, then it's like, well,
Yeah.
we're all fucked because,
Well,
like, oh, I didn't
yeah.
put makeup on today and now I'm at risk of being persecuted because,
And yeah, yeah. And here's what I want to say, which takes us out of this specific thing a little bit, but not really. At the end of the day, so much of this is misogyny. So much of
literally.
transphobia, so much of homophobia is misogyny. And like,
You can't unpack one without the other. And I don't
no, you
think
can't.
a lot of people are ready to do either, let alone both.
100%. And that's probably my biggest gay grievance. It's that
Definitely.
misogyny gets overlooked. But like, when you're thinking about the coming out of gay men, it's, oh, they're now feminized. We're losing masculine men. We're losing they don't want us, they don't want them to be women. And so then the women are being independent without men, they're lesbians, or the women are exercising agency and able to pick and not wholly dependent on men, bisexual, pan, etc. And, again, the gender non-conforming element of it all roots back to fucking misogyny. They
Yeah.
hate women. They want to control women. Our structures are set up and designed to oppress women. And it's affecting everyone. This is when we say everyone is affected. And like you just said, it's affecting you whether or not you're trans. It's affecting cis women. It's negatively impacting people. And I don't think you can have this conversation without bringing that up.
No, you really can't. And it's so crazy because there's so many things like this gets into like gender affirming care. That's such a big thing that's coming up where it's like they are giving sex change surgeries to children. And I'm like, first of all, when? Where? No, they're not.
Where? No one's doing that. Literally, gender affirming care is age specific.
Yeah.
So from before puberty, all it is just saying, I believe you. That's gender affirming care. And
Yeah.
bringing in experts with your doctors, therapists, just making sure the kid's okay and minimizing their number one risk, which is suicide and mental health issues. That's what you're mitigating.
Protecting
And you're
kids.
just saying, hey, great. You're that. And then we get to a point where it's like, okay, maybe we do puberty blockers and they're just little hormones. They just pause the
Yeah.
clock. And then you can decide. No one's making decisions for these kids. No one's saying at 13 years old, you're having, crazy operations. If that happens and you've been on a lifelong journey and you've known since you were 2 years old, great. It looks different for everyone. It's medical care. It's just getting baseline medical care for what
Right.
you need. That's
And
literally all it is.
also, gender affirming care is everything. It's hair plugs for men. It's a nose job. It's
Yep.
getting
Breast
laser hair removal.
augmentation.
Yeah,
or
literally
reduction.
everything. Like
Yep.
people are doing gender affirming care to
To affirm
themselves
their own genders.
all the
Yep.
time.
All the time. All the
It's
time.
literally the whole thing.
Yep. Yep. And again, you're going to come for our civil liberties. You're going to come for our own health agency, our rights to express ourselves. You're going to come for parental rights to take care of their kids. And that is terrifying. That should terrify every person who stands for individuality in any
Yeah.
capacity. Like, that's crazy.
I completely agree.
Crazy.
It drives me nuts. It's like, what are we're talking about nonsense, and it comes back to that same point where this is all manufactured outrage because there is stuff that is wrong,
Yep.
objectively wrong, that is happening that we could be joining forces on, but instead, all of these people all of a sudden are talking about trans people in the bathroom or in sports, and why? It has nothing to do with you. Literally,
No.
my childhood idol, J.K. Rowling. What happened to you, bro? Like, why would you do that?
Ugh.
Crazy.
Like
You
that
had
was, and
this
also she was so beloved in the queer community
literally because she had a whole universe about accepting people and
for their differences.
yeah.
Like, crazy.
And here,
I also just want to add, and not to derail us, but like trans folks, and specifically the bathroom thing. If a man wants to dress up as a woman and go assault women in bathrooms, that's gonna happen.
that part. For
Who
sure.
do you think you're protecting? Like, that's gonna also, who is going into bathrooms that are closely monitored? Like,
Right.
I've been in a bathroom with an attendant once in my life, and I feel like I was in another country. I actually think it was at your wedding.
Yeah.
Like, it was. That's when it was. And nobody gave a fuck there, obviously. But like, why are we talking about this? But let me say this: trans people should have rights. One of those rights, inalienable rights, non-derogable rights. One of those rights is to be a shitty person. There are trans folks who just suck. Their personalities suck, as there are wherever. Not because they're trans, but they just suck. You know what? If there's someone who's gonna take a bunch of steroids, oops, gay or straight or trans or cis, and try to beat people on a team and have an unfair advantage, that's gonna fucking happen regardless. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with them being trans. It's because they're a shitty, selfish person. Like, that's where it comes from. It has
Or-
nothing to do with their status as a trans person. They just suck.
Or they're Amanda Bynes and she's the man, and she was not a shitty person.
Honestly, protect her at all costs. Protect that movie. I watched it 3 weeks ago. It is
Shout out to Amanda Bynes.
her magnum opus. I realized that's really the Amanda show, but She's the Man to me was everything.
Yeah,
And
that was fantastic.
you know what? I love her so much. But like, I mean, please, like, let's just, I just one day would love to see people, I think when you've made it, they hate you because you suck, not
Yes.
because of your identity.
So true.
What a beautiful world.
Let us
to
just be hated for
imagine.
being like little bitches or,
Yeah.
like,
Or just like talking too loud or chewing with your mouth open or being annoying. That would be so
Being-
nice.
watching too many music videos. Like, there are
Yeah.
valid reasons, but not the identity.
Insisting you only listen to things on vinyl records.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, that's annoying. I understand.
pretension
Yeah.
Ooh, I just want that to be separated from gender
Me too.
and sexuality and race. What a
Absolutely.
beautiful world
Absolutely
this could
agree.
be. Yeah.
Well, the
Oh,
final one is just about pronouns because this one I've been noticing in a really scary way. Well, there's two things. One, I noticed I've been hearing a lot of stories about people sending in their passport to be renewed and they're not getting them back because their gender on their passport doesn't match their gender assigned at birth, and then they cannot because
Hunter
they
Schafer
decided not
just had
to.
this happen. Did you
Yeah.
see that? I saw
Yes.
it on the internet. I looked
It's
at the internet and I
so
saw that. And I
crazy.
was
It's
like,
just like, why
what
the
the?
fuck? And then also, federal websites. A friend of mine works at a medical center that's federally funded, at least, maybe owned, but
Mm,
they removed all paperwork that has anything about gender, or gender, or like gender options. So it just says female, male, or other. And if you select other, it will just show as did not answer. You cannot refer to anyone by any different pronouns. You can't ask them about it. It's just gone, not a part of care, which is crazy and super dangerous because obviously different genders, gender identities, sexualities will put you at different types of risks.
uh, it's literally like, why are we upset about designations? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what a weird thing to be mad about. It's the pronoun thing generally is crazy to me.
Me
Like,
too.
the people who are most upset about it, there's no way you know someone using like 8 different pronouns. You just don't.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to, and grammatically, they is correct. If I don't know your gender identity or I don't remember anything about you, I'm calling you they.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say they regardless, like,
Hmm.
because I'm lazy. I say about animals because I refuse to say
That's how
it.
I started it with animals.
Yeah, I just say they. I don't fucking
Hmm.
know their gender. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about a single animal and I'm going to just call them, not
I think,
it, because
yeah,
they're not objects.
I think that's
And
true.
oh, it drives me nuts. And it's so scary that these things are disappearing. You know what? I'm going to be a capitalist. I'm going to be a real capitalist. Market segmentation? Are you kidding me? You
Yeah.
can't be specific and target. I mean, like, shit, queer people buy a lot of stuff. Like, you are losing very valuable engagement. We are responsible for all of the media. Everyone in Hollywood is gay. That is a statistic that we didn't share, but 100% of Hollywood is gay.
Yeah.
You can take it from us. We work in the industry and
They
it's
considered it
it's
at
true.
least.
Even the straight ones are 100% gay.
Hmm.
And really, like, you're going to not segment that population. You're not going to be able to reach them, really. What about for healthcare? What about for specific advertisements? Also, shame on you, pharmaceutical industry. You stand to make so much money from like gender affirming care and like hormones and stuff. Why aren't you advertising for that? And instead you're just pumping our bodies full of other shit. But like, and that's
Exactly.
neither here nor there. But what? Come on, use your
No.
harm for good.
It's so crazy.
Please.
And I think, yeah, this is why over the years, like I always say, I'm an Aquarius. I don't respect the law very strongly. But, in a reasonable way. I'm
Mhm.
still a nice person on my
Yes.
own.
Yes.
But
It's just when laws are stupid.
yeah, because then people
I
will be like, well,
jaywalk.
you have to follow the law. It's the law. Don't break the law. And I'm like, do you not understand that laws were not made by God? They just like get randomly written in stone,
Yeah.
and then the stone gets broken, and then they write another
Yeah.
one on a different stone, and then they throw that stone in the river, and they make another one, and it doesn't matter. So all that stuff aside, I think we've had a great year as queers. We had not a great year. The last couple of years,
We're okay.
ever since the pandemic, it feels like one year. But 2020 was the mass coming out on TikTok where everyone was like, "Wait, I'm gay." So that was very exciting. Don't you think?
I
I
think I
loved it.
came out in 2020, but I did not have TikTok.
It was a time we got to sit with yourselves and you're like, "Wait,
Yeah.
gay." Then that
Yeah.
was also tied with the compulsory heterosexuality document. What was it called? It was like the master doc or something like that. I didn't read it because I was already out
I
at
don't,
that point. But there was
Yeah,
like
I
this
didn't even hear this.
Google Doc that was going around and people were reading it. It was getting passed through. It was talking about compulsory heterosexuality. And then people were reading it and then going on TikTok to say that they were gay.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it was a really nice community
Wow,
moment.
that happened to me organically at the same
Yeah.
time that this was happening online. It
Hmm.
happened to me offline.
Yeah. And you know
That's
what that culminated in was summer 2024, which I like to call lesbian pop star summer. They're not all
amen.
lesbians, but I do like to say that because it sounds
Yeah.
better. But that included Billie Eilish, Chappell Roan, Ethel Cain, Renee Rapp, and Megan Thee Stallion. They were
Yes.
just blowing up over the summer, and it was just kind of like all the headliners for the different music festivals. I was like,
Yes.
is this Pride all the time? That's why we're getting backlash right now.
Yeah. You know
So,
what?
but you
It
know, it
was
was
worth it
worth it.
though. Yeah. It was
I would
worth
do
it.
hot to go 50 more times. I don't care.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Oh, Chapel.
Well, even though we had all that great news, I think, well, this episode is about our gay grievances. So there are just a couple of things that okay, one, first of all, most queer content that I see on the internet, I am disappointed by. Like, not
Mm,
all of the time, but a lot of the time. There's so many things that are like so heteronormative that is just like, are you a top or a bottom? Are you a femme or a mask? And I'm like, stop. Who cares? Like, I
can
know in some
we
ways, politically and as a community, these roles can be important, but it's also like, I don't know, it reminds me of like everyone going on TikTok and then being like, oh my God, I have ADHD because, you know, like you just have to like categorize yourself all the time. And
I'm
maybe it's not
autistic.
necessary.
Like
Right.
stop labeling yourself these things. It's not productive. Like
No.
what is it doing for you? I it only limits us. And yes, there's a moment where like it can be like, "Oh, I feel seen." But then it quickly becomes you're in a bucket and that's what they want, guys. They want us to define you. Like they want to say that's their fucking label. Like I can understand
Hmm.
them. You know, it's so frustrating because especially like even, you know, I think when I was coming out and like with in the among women, top and bottom, there's really no logistical
No.
reason to have that. And if you don't know what we're talking about, Google it. And how did you find this podcast?
Right.
But like seriously, it's so silly to me because it's like, okay, I do understand among the gay male community, yes, there are delineations, but even that is very fluid a lot of times. Like, totally get it. But there's a literal reason for that.
Yeah.
So, but among women, there's not. But I know so many lesbians who have adopted that language, and it feels more harmful and like status centric, and it's
And it
like
doesn't give you room to grow
no, it does not, and it doesn't give me
or room
room
to be
to
tired.
yeah, a room to be tired. Amen. Amen. That is so real.
Yeah. Like,
I
come
mean,
on.
really. Like,
Don't
amen.
pigeonhole me.
Don't pigeonhole me. Sometimes I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's too much.
That's a big one, honestly. That comes up a lot on the internet, but then also there's all these like, I don't know, there's girls online who will just be like, no one knows I'm gay because I'm femme. And I'm like, that just sounds like you don't have a queer community, and that's your problem. Like,
Sad.
I know a lot of femme people. I'm a femme
Yeah.
person. I'm married. It's fine.
Yeah.
It can
Yeah.
work. It's like I think they're using it as flirting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't think that it's necessary. And it's also just kind of annoying. And it
Yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, it like puts things backwards because it'll be like, oh, it's so hard to be femme. But then it's actually like mask lesbians might have experienced more violence or more
Yeah.
trouble out in the world. So it's
Yeah.
like, don't do the oppression Olympics while talking about your sub identity as a queer person because that's
Totally.
annoying and
Yeah.
it's not good for community.
Also, I'm going to invoke to my fellow queers. I look like a femme. I am femme. Sometimes I feel very feminine. Other times I am like squarely a tomboy, and I still love that term. That very much sits with me. I was called a tomboy when I was a little kid. It felt correct, and it feels correct now. That changes. It's fluid. Let
Yeah.
me be fluid, please, for the love of God, I can't,
Yeah.
I don't want to be labeled like that, because it's going to be different. It might be different tomorrow,
For
and
real.
it might be different in 3 hours. And I went through a period of like 4 years where I didn't wear dresses. And then I was like, ooh, I want to wear a dress because it's just one thing I have to put on. And now I'm kind of away from dresses again, but I'll be back on it again soon. So
Wait,
ugh,
I have a question for you.
please.
Okay, because this is another thing that comes up online, and I'm realizing now that you were the right person to answer this. Am I being an asshole or not?
Oh, yes.
There's also another thing that comes up on TikTok all the time. Usually happens every June, where it's just about bi visibility, and it's like bisexuals are real. Lesbians never want to date me because I'm bisexual, and it annoys me every time. And I couldn't figure out why. And then finally, like I think a couple months ago, I saw someone on the internet say that it's giving incel. Like not incel, but it's giving like men having like this entitlement, like, well, why don't you like me? You're supposed to like me. And it's like, no, you are not entitled to lesbians liking you. And also it's just not true. You can't make a statement like lesbians do this. It's just like, well, who would want to date you? You sound awful. Like, so obviously bisexuals are real. I've dated them.
Yes.
I identified as one for a short period of time.
I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
living proof. Look at me.
Yes, look at her. She's here.
The whole experience of like, so okay, what is your question? Are you the asshole because
Because it annoys me when that is such like
this whining?
it's so popular. Like once a year, there's always like a moment on the internet where it's just like lesbians won't date bisexuals, and you're just like, sorry, like I don't know, that's not true. First
That
of
has
all,
not been my experience.
exactly. I'm like Claire's doing fine. I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong with you. Maybe it's because you whine on the internet all the time.
Also, like, yeah, I would say, and I say this with the most love in the world, it's probably your personality. It's probably your personality. I don't think it's because you're bi. I think it's because you're annoying.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is when we go, okay, we can talk about the community. We can talk about the group, but in a very real way, some of the individuals are going to stuck. I love people. I love humans. I love people. There are so many people I dislike strongly, but I still love the people. And I think bisexuals are amazing. But like, don't trust them. Like, I don't know. I just, again, we have the right to suck, and it has nothing to do with the fact that you're bi. It's
so true. That's true.
It's because you're annoying, and
that's true allyship.
It has not been my experience. And look, there was certainly bi erasure. I mean, without a doubt. That one Sex in the City episode where Carrie's like, I just think you haven't come out yet. It's like, okay, that's like ridiculous. And I still feel very much that cis bi men get it the most. Like, and that's really, really hard that, but for women, it's like, in my experience, again, it's been easier as a bi woman. I've not really faced discrimination. Bi men still are actively discriminated against. And like,
oh, totally.
Look, that's
again, misogyny, because it's like, oh, you're a bi man, you want to be with men. You're a bi woman, you want to be with men.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, this is like, that is very much still happening. There are nuances and facets to this within the queer community and externally that there's a lot there, but like, we're not talking about that. We're talking about other things.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. It's just like, there's some stuff within the community which can be really irritating. It's just like, come on, guys, can we get on the same page? Yeah. Like, there's no need to be attacking each other. There's no need to be second guessing each other. There's just like a lot of outdated things. And I think one outdated thing that I have a major, major grievance on is lesbian bars. Why are they so bad? Okay, so I know you live in LA. Have you been to Ruby Fruit?
Yes. And it just closed. Did you read about it?
I've been reading all of the drama. But I didn't like Ruby Fruit.
No, it sucks.
Because, first of all, why you're a wine bar, you don't have any wine glasses. There's no stems. Be a wine bar or don't. No one made you do this. Like,
I,
that
I
annoyed
went
me.
I went to Ruby Fruit on a date, and I got a non-alcoholic glass of wine and some French fries or something, or like it was like $50. Like I was like,
And yet they don't have any money. I don't
I
understand.
couldn't breathe. I was like, what is happening here? And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just we deserve better. It also was not a lesbian bar. It was like
No.
a place for extortion where you could also be gay. Like,
And I'm sorry, I'm not from LA, but why do you have bars in strip malls? That doesn't make any sense. Why does everyone have to drive to the bar and park in the little tiny parking lot? That's so weird.
it was honestly ridiculous. It was.
And there's no dance floor. The only way to make
It's
contact is
not a
like,
bar.
no.
It's a tapas restaurant.
Yeah.
Like,
And like you would just like walk to the bathroom, which by the way only played Indigo Girls, which felt very sinister to me. But that's the only way. Every time you walk to the bathroom, all of the little queer eyes are like following you to the bathroom, and it's so uncomfortable.
and we
That's
have
why the
nothing
lesbian
else.
bars fail.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. And I will say, like, in the LA community, oh gosh, what's the newsletter? There's a phenomenal, like, queer newsletter that's
Ooh.
lets you, it's Sapphic LA, I think, Sapphic Events LA. And it's wonderful. And they put together, like, this really thoughtful curation of queer spaces, for, our community that we can look at. It's like pick up sports balls, things that I clearly don't take part in, but I should if I were athletic. It's like lovely stuff, and like specific like DJ nights and whatnot. Like there's always stud country, and there's crossover.
That
It's
looks
not.
fun.
I also appreciate that it's not all lesbian, only lesbian things. There are
Yeah.
events that are lesbian only, like, and whatever that means to you, great. But like, it's a pretty liberated newsletter. So I highly recommend that to LA
That's good to
folks.
know. Even
And
I'll
it's
read it.
replaced, it's served, its purpose, because we don't have spaces like that we can just comfortably roll into with the intention of, like, in the same way that gay men do.
Yeah, totally.
And those bars are thriving. And
We had one lesbian bar in Philly, and I went there one time.
yeah,
It was empty, and then all of a sudden it was RuPaul's Drag Race, and it filled with gay men. Me and my sister were the only queer women in the entire bar. It's like it's just outdated the way that they're doing it, and it's not making a place that we actually want to be in. And I don't think it would be that hard, so I just don't know why we keep getting into this. Okay, well, I think we could talk about being queer all day long, and we should. Actually, this is our call to everyone to just have these conversations, continue this podcast analog in your friend group, which means have conversations. And yeah, that will be useful to all of us.
Yeah.
But let's wrap it up by talking about what do people get wrong about the queers, the gays, the theys.
I mean, I'll throw out. I mean, you've been saying that you hate Love is Love.
I do. Okay.
So you hate love. Let me get on the record here. You hate Lisa.
No, I
Longo,
love
you hate
love, but love is not love, to be clear.
Okay.
Because I was thinking about this. I was driving to Cuernavaca for me and my wife's anniversary last summer, and there was a billboard that said love is love. And I was like, I actually am offended by this, to be honest with you. It's not true. When it's just like, first of all, you have like evangelicals who are like, oh, this is, Christian love. It's definitely not like that. That's for sure. Then there's also like, I don't know, there's just such a way of having queer love, of seeing queer love, of being involved, witnessing it, being in the community of it, that is just so different, and it has to be different because the way that we love each other is based in a totally different context. You're not allowed to do this, like we said at the beginning of the episode, in a lot of places. So it has to be creative. It has to go further than what I think a lot of heterosexual people would consider love to be, because has to be bigger in order to hold the differences that we're all
Mhm.
having and like the emergent ideas about sexuality and gender and personhood that we
Mm.
have to kind of explore and break down in our own personal processes, but then also with our friends and our lovers and loved ones.
Mm.
So I don't think love is love. I think it's actually kind of insulting. I think only it makes straight people feel better to say that, but it doesn't make me feel better because it's just like, you think you're trying to be nice by saying that my love is just like yours, but it actually isn't. It isn't because I'm not allowed and you are. So
Yeah.
it actually isn't better to conflate all of them, in my opinion. It just
Well
bothers
said.
me.
Well said. I
Thank
think
you.
love is love is clearly not for us. It was written for people who it did occur to them that our love wasn't valid.
Yeah. It's like a step up from that.
Yeah, it's like, but they're like, and I understand why that if you don't believe gay people are real and you feel like it's a devious, like defiant, which a devious act, like sinful act, and your next best thing is saying love is love. It's again, it's not for us. It's not for the queers. It's not
No.
for anyone who believes that, who believes in that sentiment, who believes, yeah, yes, it is love, like obviously, but all love looks different.
Yeah.
All love looks different. And I think what you said is beautiful. I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't want to be rude because I know the people who say it are trying to be nice, but it
Yeah.
doesn't make me feel better at all.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
actually feels kind of like erasing
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
how much
just
effort had to be put in order to get here
definitely.
and have a marriage.
Yeah. But I do recognize it was a step forward
Yeah.
for some people at some time. I feel it's outdated for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And do you have one?
I want to talk about the idea of being gay being a choice.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What do you have to say about this?
I think it's so crazy. I think it's obviously not a choice. I think you know that it's not a choice because people still have to want to be with men after all of the evidence against the
Exactly.
violence.
Yep. Statistically,
Statistically, the fact
Yeah.
that you would still be like, yes,
yeah.
I want to marry a man. That's lovely. Not all men. However, it's just like that I think is just proof that if it was a choice, it would be going a little bit differently and the numbers wouldn't be as small as they were at the top of the episode.
Yeah.
And also, if I got to design myself like a little sim, I would choose being a black gay woman every single time. Without question.
I love that. I would say this. I recognize that this is also a concept that is now a little bit different than it was because, like, back when my dad had a roommate who was a gay man, and he told my parents, he was like, who would choose this? This is the 80s, we're in the throes of the AIDS crisis. Like, who as a gay man would choose this? Like, it's obviously that I was born here. I was born gay. This is biological.
Yeah.
Again, contextualizing that in the time, of course, I understand that. And it's obviously not a choice. No one has ever been like, oh no, it is for sure a choice. Like, it's not. It is biological. But now it's if it was a choice, it'd be a great choice.
Yeah.
Like, who wouldn't want
I
to be
recommend
gay?
it's fun.
It's super fun. It's great. But like, I also recognize those who came before and like, wow, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily have chosen that when your community was dying at crazy rates and, which that's
So
still
true.
happening. But like, and again, I feel like maybe trans folks are where the gay community was in some ways, like fighting to get it recognized that this is not a choice. I'm not just waking up and being like, I feel like I'd look cuter as a man. Like, and then deciding to get gender reassignment surgery. Like, that's not where
For
we
real.
are. That's
No, I'm
But-
so
but
glad you
that's-
brought this up.
yeah, that's the distinction I think I want to make.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's a great note to end on because at the end of the day, we stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us. So
Hmm.
even when we're saying that things are outdated, I think always respect the people who came before us and made the things that we have today as queer people possible. But I think also out of respect for those people, we can ask for more now
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's what they would have done in this place, I would
Amen.
guess.
Amen. Yeah, shout out my queer ancestors, Jack Bruska, the artist who died of AIDS.
Mm.
I just got one of his pieces. I am so excited. And then my cousin Richard, my grandma's cousin, whose partner died of AIDS. Like,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's
wow.
I have that in my family, and I'm privileged enough to know those stories. But um, yeah, we always are looking to those who came before and honoring them
Absolutely.
by continuing the progress.
Yeah, we
Yep.
honor them by asking for more because we deserve
Yeah.
more.
Yep. Absolutely.
And like
Well,
I said at the
man,
beginning, we have quorum, we have 3.5%. So just remember every time you think, is this too small of an issue? Can we, as a queer community, demand this? There's so few of us. There's
yes, we
enough.
can. There's
Do
enough.
it.
We've got it. We've got it. Oh, I love this. This was great. A great conversation and an important one to have.
I
And
know. I love to talk about it. We've talked about everything under the sun, but
yeah, I tip my gay hat to you, ma'am.
yeah,
Your
I
my
think
bisexual hat. Yeah.
in
What a
June
good
we'll come back
episode.
and do a Pride episode and we can just talk about all of our favorite music videos.
Yeah. And we'll change our logo so it's rainbow.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It'll be so good
Let's do
and
it now.
powerful. Yeah. Let's do it now. Let's do it. Okay. Thank you, people.
Okay, talk to you later.
See you
Bye.
next week. Often Wrong is produced by Lisa Nwankwo, Claire Cornetta, and Joe Abdella. This episode was shot and edited by Joe Abdella. Special thanks to Michael Drummonds. Often Wrong is a Carrot Impact podcast. Go to carrotimpact.com/oftenwrong to learn more.